You think you know how to survive a zombie apocalypse. You have your shotgun, you aim for the head, problem solved, right? Now, I want you to take that assumption, that one fundamental rule that's been drilled into us by decades of horror movies, and throw it out the window. Forget everything you know. Imagine a threat that isn't just fast or aggressive. Imagine a threat that's functionally immortal. A reanimated corpse that you can blast with a shotgun, hack into 100 pieces. And every single one of those twitching, severed pieces is still actively trying to bite you. In this scenario, your best defense, the headshot, is a fatal mistake. Because against this enemy, the ultimate kill switch has been completely neutralized. Welcome to the Trioxin nightmare from the Return of the Living Dead. The most immediate, gut-wrenching shock of a Trioxin outbreak is how it completely negates that core rule of zombie survival: destroy the brain. That cinematic silver bullet that has saved countless fictional heroes is rendered absolutely useless here. Why? Because these aren't your typical shambling dead, reanimated by a virus or supernatural curse that hijacks the brainstem. No, the chemical reanimation from Trioxin is not dependent on cerebral function at all. The brain is just another piece of meat. The chemical itself is what keeps the body moving, a decentralized engine of pure, relentless hunger. The consequences for human survival are catastrophic. These are, for all intents and purposes, immortal monsters. A survivor operating on conventional wisdom, aiming for the head, is immediately and fatally penalized. You are wasting precious ammo, wasting critical time, and making your situation infinitely worse. Think about it. You can dismember a Trioxin zombie, severing its head or limbs in a desperate attempt to stop it. But all you've accomplished is multiplication. Every muscle segment, every severed hand or detached jaw remains independently animated and, terrifyingly, still connected to the original consciousness. Hacking one thread into pieces doesn't neutralize it. It multiplies the number of actively crawling, biting, grasping threats that you now have to fight all at once. Standard trauma is useless. A single zombie can become an entire writhing carpet of death. This single fact guarantees the immediate collapse of any conventional military response. Military doctrine, SWAT team training, it all relies on neutralizing the central nervous system. A well-placed shot to the head is the foundation of their entire strategy for dealing with a hostile individual. Against a Trioxin horde, soldiers would be firing into a crowd, seeing bodies drop, only for those same bodies to start crawling or for their severed parts to continue the assault. It's a tactical and psychological nightmare that no army on Earth is prepared for. It's an enemy you can't kill. But the horror doesn't stop there. The Trioxin threat also nullifies all standard quarantine procedures by completely bypassing traditional methods of infection. Most zombie outbreaks in fiction rely on a slow, noticeable vector, the bite. You get bitten, you hide it, you turn. This allows for containment protocols, screening, and safe zones. You can identify the threat and isolate it. The Return of the Living Dead outbreak begins with something far more insidious: the aerosolization of the 2,4,5-trioxin chemical. It starts as a gas, escaping from a sealed drum. It becomes a respiratory agent. Contamination isn't about being bitten or scratched. It's about simply breathing the air near the outbreak zone. The chemical seeps into the environment. It contaminates the soil. It gets into the water. When it rains, the Trioxin comes down with it, seeping into the ground of a cemetery and reanimating everything buried there. This means quarantine measures based on observing symptoms or visible wounds are completely useless. How do you quarantine the air itself? How do you build a wall against the rain? You can't. The infectious agent is the environment itself. Everyone is already exposed. There are no safe zones, only places that haven't received the contaminated rain yet. This transforms the apocalypse from a fight for survival into a slow, inevitable countdown to global saturation. And this brings us to what might be the most existentially dreadful aspect of the Trioxin apocalypse. The zombies are not mindless. When they capture and begin to eat someone, they're asked why. The answer is chilling. They explain that they can feel themselves rotting, and that eating the brains of the living is the only thing that provides some temporary relief from that constant, unending pain of decay. This isn't just a monster trying to eat you. This is a sentient being trapped in a decaying prison of a body, fully aware of its own gruesome state. It is in perpetual agony, and your brain is its only form of anesthetic. Every zombie you see is a person, conscious and suffering, driven by a desperate need to escape their own living hell. When you become one of them, you don't just lose your life. You are sentenced to an eternity of conscious torment, fully aware of every horrifying act you commit. The bite isn't just a death sentence, it's a damnation. So let's review the total system failure. You have an enemy that cannot be killed by conventional means. An infection that spreads through the air and rain, making quarantine impossible. And victims who remain conscious and in agony after turning. Any one of these would be apocalyptic. Together, they create a scenario with absolutely no hope of victory. This leads to the final, terrifying truth of the Trioxin nightmare, the ultimate failure of institutional intelligence. Faced with an unstoppable, unkillable horde spreading uncontrollably, what is humanity's last resort? The people in charge, the ones meant to protect us, make a call. They launch a tactical nuclear strike on the outbreak zone, the final, desperate solution to cauterize the wound. But it doesn't contain the threat. It does the exact opposite. The resulting nuclear firestorm vaporizes an unprecedented mass of trioxin-infected bodies and the chemical itself, creating the most efficient and catastrophic spreading mechanism imaginable. This act, intended to save humanity, violently throws the trioxin agent high into the atmosphere, ensuring it saturates the entire global weather system. Mankind's final act of defense becomes the final vector for planetary extinction. The acid rain that falls next won't just be radioactive, it will be a reanimating agent. The end doesn't come from the zombies. It comes from our own desperate, foolish attempt to fight them. In this apocalypse, the true enemy was human stupidity itself. So I have to ask you, which of these three apocalyptic failures do you think is the single worst? Is it the immortal nature of the zombies, making them impossible to kill? Is it the aerosol spread, making infection inescapable? Or is it the conscious, agonizing suffering of the infected, turning every victim into a tragic figure? Let us know your survival plan, if you can even call it that, for this inescapable scenario in the comments below. And if you're ready to dissect more of the terrifying mechanisms behind our favorite horror stories, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching.